Yeah.
Hey everyone, this is Chris and Sandy. Well, it's just Chris. Chris from the Chris and Sandy Show. I'm so used to my wife being next to me, but she can't make it tonight. But it's Chris from the Chris and Sandy Show, where we get up close and personal with some amazing guests throughout the entertainment industry. And today, like I said on every episode, we got a great one for you. In fact, we have a special one for you. We have the co-hosts of the Frick Frack Show. They do kind of what we do, but theirs is like a fan. For fans by fans. So it's really cool idea that they've got. And we're going to kind of hear a little bit of their story and just talk co-host talk. So how's that sound? So welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you very much.
We're definitely excited to have you on. Tell us about since every one of my shows, it kind of plays right perfect into every one of our shows. Because, for if y'all watch it, you know that I always ask about COVID and how did it affect you? Well, that's perfectly in for y'all. What made y'all launch your show first?
Go ahead, Matt.
Okay, so we created this right at a time where the shutdowns kind of took off. Everybody was locked in their houses. It was a very dark time in everybody's life. Caleb and I don't want to say took advantage of that, but we wanted to give people something to look forward to in such a dark time. So yeah, I mean, we reached out to each other and connected right away. I would say that the chemistry and the bond was instantaneous right off the bat. And so we just kind of took off with it and gave people something to look forward to.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. It was literally in March, it was like 2 weeks or a week or so before the shutdown happened. And it was kind of crazy, because who would do anything during this pandemic? I
mean, that's like for us, we launched January 2020. So a couple months before COVID.
Yeah.
And my original plan was to do 100 interviews our first year. We thought, you know what? If we could do that, we would build a great foundation.
Most definitely.
And then COVID happens. And I told Sandy, I was like, you know what? Maybe we need to step up our game a little bit, because you know what? A lot of people who are bigger might be willing to come on a newer show because of all the shutdowns. So we reached out to everybody and anybody we could. And because of that, we did over 300 interviews last year and over 400 now.
Whoa, man, that's pretty insane.
I mean, there were days in August that we did 2 a day. Last August.
Wow,
man, that's pretty crazy. I mean,
it's cool having y'all on because y'all understand what we go through, and that's kind of where I want our conversations to really go, is just talk war stories, talk great stories, just tell stories of the great, the bad, the ugly, all that. I just want to have fun.
Yeah, want to stir up some controversy.
How did y'all meet, first off?
We have never met, actually, Chris.
I mean, saying how'd y'all connect then?
It was online. It was actually through a Facebook site. We both were really engaged with a Backstreet Boys site, actually. And we reached out to each other and we're just like, man, it's nice to know that there's other fans out there in this fandom. And that just kind of set it right off for us.
Wow. Yeah, it was crazy because, whenever we first met, Matt had made a post and I was like, hey, it's so cool to see another guy in here. Because, there's like 45, 50, 75 comments and it's all women, which is amazing and great. But, there's not another guy. So it's really great to see, another person in here who loves the Backstreet Boys, who loves boy bands as much as I do. Because growing up, I didn't have such a partner in my life who, there wasn't this other, there wasn't a friend who was a guy who was like, I love the Backstreet Boys too,
Well, nobody would admit that.
No,
right.
And they still won't, but, I want it that way. You can't deny the music that they do,
What's funny is I've told my wife so many stories because I've always been a country music fan. And not long ago, we were meeting with a friend of mine that I haven't talked to in years. And he tells my wife, oh yeah, Chris don't like country music. I'm like, you didn't know I didn't like country.
Ooh,
Yeah,
come
because
on.
it was one of them things where the crew I grew up in, we were into the MC Hammer, and all
Oh,
that,
yeah.
and you just didn't admit that you listened to country, and then also boy band. I liked all the boy bands and all
Oh,
that,
yeah.
and New Kids on the Block, and then eventually Backstreet Boys and all that.
Mhm.
But you just didn't admit all that. So that I was like a closet country fan back then. And it's funny because, like I said, we met with my friend, and he was like, he told my wife, because, well, look, Chris don't like country music. And as far as she's known me, he's like country music.
Come on. Man, it's the craziest thing because growing up, of course I went through a lot of craziness with my passion for like boy bands, and
My buddy
and
Joe.
well, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you, man. We it was crazy because I never was like a closeted kind of person when it comes down to like music and actors and anything in entertainment industry. I was always like very open about how much I love the Backstreet Boys and boy bands in general, but I know there's so many people out there even today, I can't imagine growing up in this era versus the 90s that I did, because today you really can't, you got to go with what's out there, and you have, it's kind of like, it's kind of like the 90s, if you didn't like the how you call it, if you didn't like that music, then you were outcasted. But nowadays it's I don't know, I don't really know. I mean, I listen to the music that's out there today, and there is some great stuff that moves me, makes me feel some things, which is great. But the 90s is where it's at, man. I mean, of course, 50s through the 90s, I'm gonna say.
So how was it when y'all booked Brian Luttrell and his family, like we did?
Yeah, go ahead,
A
man.
dream come true. A dream come true, man.
Yeah,
it was everything we wanted it to be, man. And if we're being honest here, we caught a lot of flack for that interview because it was at a time where the world was going crazy. And Caleb and we're proud of this to this day, that we stuck to the guns, and it was, we are here for everybody in the world that wants to tell their story. And so that's what we stuck to, and it was one of our best interviews. And I saw you guys had him on your show as well.
Yeah, it was like one of them surreal moments, especially for my wife, because she grew up with Brian Luttrell on her wall.
Wow!
So
come on.
And to make us even more speechless, we're sitting there, and I guess a few minutes in, Brian, because Sandy and I write lyrics together. We don't really write full songs, but eventually we'll learn to play and all that and put it all together. We write a lot of songs together. And I've posted about that and how we started the show because of that. And so we're sitting here, and Brian Luttrell looks at us and looks at Sandy through the camera and says, so Sandy, I hear y'all write songs. And so we're sitting here like with our mouths dropped. Brian Luttrell just said that. And, which means he looks up the people that before he comes on their show.
Yeah. I mean, it was a remarkable moment because that was actually pretty much the first celebrity guest we had. Oh, wow. And at that time, Leanne had, kind of expressed her opinion about things with, the government and things. Everyone's got an opinion, and everyone should be able to express something. But in the world today, that's not how it works, but, so basically what happened was we at that time, well, actually before we even knew that, because we had no, we're not political, so we don't really read up on celebrities' views. But before that, we invited her to the show, we'd love to have you. And, and we had such horrible feedback. We've had people tell us in our inboxes directly, your podcast is going to burn to the ground for this.
Wow.
No joke, man. It was brutal. It was other podcasts. It was other people. It was people, who are major fans of the Backstreet Boys. And, they were just very not pleased by the opinions of someone. And yeah, a podcast was supposed to burn to the ground. And what I'm telling you, the funniest thing what happened was, you know, it shot up. You know, we were at, I think, 7,000 views, and it shot up to like 10.5 thousand, followers and likes. So it shot 3,000 likes, you know, and within just a few days. And the interview was great, nothing political about it, you know, and it was just a very first celebrity, and just all around it was an incredible experience. And then we got that kind of bug, and we were like, you know what, why can't we just push this further and get other people who are a part of our show already, because we're, you know, every day we're saying something about Backstreet Boys, you know, NSYNC and things. Let's get them on the show, and let's do these interviews, you know. And I guess it was kind of like a bug, because we just kept going, you know, and we were getting some incredible people that, you know.
Look at what Joe said about his show.
Yeah, it's not fun getting death threats, but we every now and then we do get them. But it, you know, it's we're all about peace and love here, so we don't really respond.
I haven't really had that yet. Now, granted, our show's smaller than yours right now, so I'm sure one day we'll get. But when we had Brian Luttrell come on, we got nothing but positive about that. I mean,
I saw that. I think I questioned it. I think I questioned you about it. I was like, "Did you get anything bad?" He's like, "No." I was like, "Oh."
But you got to remember, we've had a lot of country artists on and all that.
Yeah.
So this, you know, this is just what we do. And but what's funny is the pandemic kind of changed our show, because we started out to be an up and coming country music artist interview show to kind of pump them up. But it didn't take long to figure out, you know what, I love the up and coming artists. We'll always have up and coming artists, but it didn't take long to figure out that's not what fans want necessarily. And that's not what's going to get traction. And if you want to be a big show, you got to have a mixture. And so I got flack for this when we started getting your Brian Luttrells and your Sarah Evans and your Lee Bryces and your Ed Asners and people like that. I got a lot of flack from people that were like, "Oh, you're losing your mission. You're, you know,
come on.
You're up and coming artists, and now you've just sold your soul." Now I got that.
Wow, man.
And what they don't get is, if we stay a small show, I can bring on every small artist that we can. It's never going to help them. If we can bring on enough big artists where all of a sudden we explode one day, now we bring on and spotlight kind of like Bobby Bones. You know, he's so big. Yeah. If he spotlights an artist, an up and coming artist, they get traction now.
Oh yeah.
And you can't do that if you never. Now, granted, if we were famous launching a show, having only up and coming thing would work. But nobody knows who we are, so we have to use other celebrities bring on, so that we can get some traction, so that now we can also do our main mission, which is the spotlight up and coming artists and actors. But you know, but again, we got flack for that.
Wow, man, that's sad.
Yeah, we've dealt with that as well. I mean, changing from a Backstreet Boy podcast to a 90s 2000s pop culture podcast. Caleb and I still get heat for it all the time.
Yeah, it's the craziest and funniest thing, because when, you know, we were always a Backstreet Boy, but we always incorporated other things. And then we were like, you know what? We're not really just a Backstreet podcast. We're really not, you know, why don't we just make it to what it is, which is the 90s music to early 2000s. And I mean, sometimes we even bring it back to the 80s and 50s and 20s, like, you know, like, but like, we're just a podcast, you know, podcast for the fans, by the fans. And it's a, you know, like I said, you know, started a year ago, year and a couple months ago. And it's, you know, it's a great thing that we're doing, I feel, you know, because like Miss Sherry, who's in here, you know, I think she once said, this is as close as I'm ever going to get to some of these people, you know. And people feel a connection, like us all talking. There's a connection here going, and it's not like a 5-second, you know, pay me $500, meet and greet and go. You know, it's just a different kind of thing. Like, you know, we get these people on, and they're not going anywhere for an hour. You know, like they're gonna be here and hanging out with us. And We and
Joe was just saying that his favorites of our episodes was the butler from the show Jesse, and also
oh yeah,
and
yeah,
I'm gonna tell you a quick
I know
story
him,
that
man.
people probably don't realize. I had to edit this out because I feel embarrassed for this one. This was one of my most embarrassing moments.
Oh yeah.
I had him on the show, but I didn't realize who he was, even though I knew who he was. It
Oh,
didn't
come
click.
on.
And I love the show Jesse. It's one of
Yeah.
my favorite shows out there.
Yep.
And it didn't click that I had the butler on my show until after the show was over. And I'm sitting there like, oh God, I got to edit. So I actually deleted the video, which I didn't have many. Thank God, not a lot of people watched it that back then live.
Sure.
So I edited a little bits. I was like, okay, I don't normally edit, but I edited small pieces out. But I'm sitting there like, oh my God, I wish. But you know what? I'm in a way grateful that I didn't realize who I had, because it gave us a chance to talk about his whole story, not just Jesse.
Yes. And for us, that's truly important. And we always tell the people, the guests, like, this is your story. You have an hour. Like, let's talk about, from the beginning to now. Like, we don't want to hear the 60-minute edition that you've already said for the last 25 years over and over. We want to hear the real story and, talk about the hardships, like, when it comes down to, like,
fame.
Focus
a lot about hardships.
Yeah. That's important.
Because
it's
I
important.
think that a lot of people, they jump in entertainment.
Yes.
Thinking it's going to be easy. Oh, I got the talent. It's not as even what we do. This, that to grow a show, to be a Bobby Bones type show, it takes everything out of you, and the odds of making it at that level are astronomically low. But that don't mean you can't go for it still.
Yeah,
and that's our plan. But again, but people, they jump in some of this stuff and they think it's easy or they see us just chit chatting with celebrities, and they're like, oh, what we do as hosts are easy, and I'm like, I'm in my zone when I'm live.
Yeah,
but you get us off of the screen, that's where the work begins.
Yep.
And people don't see that side of it. Like something I didn't even know. We had Little River Band on not long ago, and he was telling us how and he said a lot of his friends don't get this, but there are some events to where they don't have access to any tickets.
Wow.
He said even his wife sometimes has to pay to get in.
Especially now.
And it's crazy.
Yeah, especially with COVID, it's there's no such thing as a comp ticket right now.
Look at Joe. He said it's painfully slow. Talking about growing the show and stuff, because me and him talk a lot, and we talk about the issues, and he's trying to help me build my YouTube up, because we're really just getting going on YouTube now and all that.
Oh yeah, we have a YouTube channel, but pretty much all of it, everything about the show is like focused on Facebook, which people say.
What scares me is I've had many people to where their accounts got restricted where they couldn't go live. And I'm like, okay, if that happens, I can't go live. Now, granted, we do have my wife's account, so we could still do something, but I don't want to be limited. So that's why we're trying to build both.
Yeah. We're pretty much on every platform. But it just seems like everybody comes to Facebook, I guess because it's Facebook, but we do all our shows on YouTube and different platforms, and StreamYard has just been so incredible. I mean, I couldn't imagine not having StreamYard, and
I know
it just makes things so easy, man.
Let's hear some war stories. Now I'm gonna tell you one of mine that I was telling y'all beforehand, and then we'll go from there. We had a guest, won't say who, of course, but we had a guest, and this was when we were audio. This wouldn't have happened if we were video, but this was when we were audio. And we think everything's going good. Well, I mean, the conversation seems to be rocking, and we get to a point, and she disappears. All of a sudden, not there. I end up playing like 4 of her songs while we're trying to track her down. And come to find, and I emailed, I text, never a response since. I've never heard of this, but we got ghosted in the middle of an interview. First time it's ever happened to us, and only time it's ever happened.
Wow, that's horrible. Jeez, man.
So
we had one really bad. We had one really, really bad one. That the minute we got done with the live, we deleted everything. We deleted all the posts about them coming on.
Oh, wow.
We're a family-friendly show. Like my kids are 5 and 7, and they watch the show. And it was
and my kid comes on our show.
Right. It was a lot of I'd say profanity and inappropriate talks about being on tour. I don't blame him. I mean, we did say leave the bad language out and this and that, but I don't know. It was bad. It was bad enough that when we got done, Caleb and I were like, okay, we're not airing that, right? Like we're deleting that. And he's like,
and what's funny is my friend Joe, that's his show. He goes the other way. And it's it's great because, people need that too. You need the family friendly shows like ours.
Oh, yeah.
And you also need the shows like his, where kind of like the Howard Stern type show, So, and he did. Let's see, even a minute. Nice. I'm 100% not family friendly.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's got their own way. Like for us, we're like, we're grown men, but like I'm very big, and I'm not big in religion, but I am a very big into being saved, for many, many years. So like, when I was like I don't know, man, I was probably 14, and God said, like, God spoke to me when I was having this long, amazing, incredible experience with him. And, basically it was like, you're not going to curse anymore, so like, 14, 15 years old, I haven't cursed to that day, and, for me, I think it's important for Matt and I to be who we are, even on the show, like, cause I don't want people meeting us and saying, you're nothing like you are on the show. That would be horrible.
Exactly. Yeah, because again, like I remember before we launched our show, I reached out to a Nashville friend of mine and I asked him what advice he would give us. Yeah, he's done podcasts years ago and all that, and he said the main advice I would give is start, be, and stay authentic. He said because he says you might can tell every Bobby Bones joke, you might can tell every Ty Bentley joke. He said, and you might even be good at it. He says, but the day will come, and you might create an audience, but the day will come when authentic Chris comes out. And when that day comes, you're going to lose every bit of your audience that you did grow. He says, but if you stay authentic from the beginning, you may grow a lot slower, but you'll gain the right audience.
Wow, that's really true. That's amazing. We didn't really get much advice in it ever, but like, we kind of just from the beginning, we said we're going to do a podcast, talk about events, talk about, Backstreet Boys, talk about the 90s and stuff. But like, we weren't like ever gonna there was no room for Richard Pryor on our show.
Yeah.
As much, and we love those people. We love Richard Pryor. We love all these amazing comedians, but like for our podcast, we generally want to be real.
Again, you also have to be careful that, a lot of times when people know you're family friendly, even if they're not family friendly in what they do.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll cut, like we had a comedian, and I listened to some of his stuff, and the PR company pitched us for this person.
Wow.
And I went ahead and said, yeah, because I'm like, we have great relationships with a lot of PR companies.
Yeah.
And so I want to keep them happy, but I'll be honest, I was nervous. I listened to a lot of his stuff. And I'm like, I don't know, hopefully we can keep this family friendly, Well, to as much as my surprise, he never went there. He was able to tell his story without being like he's at the comedy club, and he respected where we stood.
Wow, he has a Robin Williams persona, right?
Yeah.
You know, he can be really clean or he can be really dirty.
And I'm not asking people to change. I mean, again,
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
cuss a little bit, that's fine.
yeah,
I just want to
yeah,
hear it all, the whole show. But
yeah,
I'm okay. I mean, again, I'm an adult. And I
yeah.
went through
Sure.
19 years of addictions till God healed me over
Mm,
13 years ago. So I've seen
yeah,
it all. I've heard it all.
you
I
said
don't,
it all.
yeah, yep, I've said it all. I don't have a problem
Yeah,
with people's language as
no,
long as they realize we are a family friendly show. At least,
yeah.
at least to tone it some down. That's all I ask.
Yeah, and that's what thankfully whenever the words do come out, for our guests, it's okay, because it's not like every,
Yeah.
even every 20 minutes, every 15 minutes, it's very minimum. But like, if we had to have somebody who was like every 3 words, we're like, okay, we're gonna go ahead and end this early.
Yeah, yeah, like what he said. Sometimes it slips and all that,
Mm,
and we get and
yeah,
us as hosts, we totally get that.
for
Now
sure.
granted, you go on Joe's show, you
Yeah,
expect that there's going to be cussing, and you
absolutely.
expect, in fact, it's going to come from him. I mean, I've listened to a lot of his shows. It's going to come from him too. He's a
True.
character. He's a really good friend of mine, and
Yeah.
even I have convictions and he has convictions, but you know
Hmm.
what, he's never told me I should change. I've never told him he should change. I
Most
think he should
definitely.
be, we're both doing our thing, and he's doing his thing really good.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'm doing my thing really good, and we
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
let each other be who we are.
And that's important, is being who you are, man. Like Matt will tell you that, especially, it's extremely important,
Yeah, man, I went through a lot of trials and tribulations, and a lot of ways this podcast helping, keeping me grounded and grinding every single day with Caleb. It's helped in a lot of ways. I went through alcoholism and addiction, and uh, I've been sober for 7 years now, and through the pandemic, it wasn't easy, but we had something to look forward to outside of my family, and this was great all the way around.
Tell us some fan experiences, since y'all bring fans on the
Ooh.
show too. Tell us some of the special moments you've had.
So yeah, I think one of the greatest and coolest moments is for our supporters and stuff, we'll have some private supporter chats every month. We'll go on StreamYard or Zoom, and we'll get like 20 or whatever people in there and just talking to everybody. First of all, the fans is what got us here today. Our work is what gets us here today, but also you can't forget the fans. You can't forget the support that you've had, and that built you up to this point. But I mean, some of the coolest things is, like, we have some great people. We have some really, really close fans who are everyone's like best friends with each other. And recently, one of the greatest moments for me was my buddy Alejandro. The big Backstreet Boy fan. He's like a teddy bear to me. He's just so he's just so cool. And recently, the Backstreet Boys announced a new residency in Vegas, and I was like, dude, if you buy a ticket, I have a big room with me and Vicky, and you're definitely more than welcome. And he was just like so ecstatic about it.
You live in Vegas?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, no, I live in Louisiana.
Oh.
So like, me and Matt both, we travel to see the people we love, man. And Vegas is the soonest that we get to see those people. So we're all going to Vegas. A lot of the supporters and a lot of the fans from the Frick Frack Show, we're gonna all meet up. We're gonna go do some karaoke, do some fun things like that. And but going back to Alejandro, he's coming with us, and Vicky was like,
Wow.
all right, sounds great.
So who are some of your supporters family wise? Like, I guess married and all that.
I got my wife and kids, and then my mom and cousins. I mean, my entire family, once this thing really took off, really kind of bought in, and was.
Oh,
It's
wow.
kind of cool to see it come from the ground up. It's
Yeah.
we started with nothing, nobody. We started on
Yeah.
a whim. So to see everybody engaged, and back to your fan question, we actually had two of our bigger supporters meet up and go on like a girls' day last week, and that's cool to see, and it happened because of the show.
Yep. Living in the same town, by the way. The craziest thing.
Oh, wow.
Living just a couple miles from each other. You never knew each other before, but this show was or is the reason why now they're like besties, and that was I was just in awe the other day. I messaged Matt and I was like, man, that's just the greatest thing to see, like two fans coming together, hanging out and go and eat some food, and sadly we don't for me, I have my girlfriend whose name is Vicky, and I have my dog Precious. She's a big supporter. I don't really have a lot of support down here, or by support I mean people who watch the show, but I kind of feel the love from everywhere, from every from every continent. So
look at what Joe said about he said he's got stories based on fans, but they're totally not appropriate for before midnight audience.
I mean, everything's, like I said, we have a lot of people who are paid supporters, and we have this very big group chat, like text line thing. And, so we're always in contact. We believe it's really important. And a lot of people say you shouldn't get close to the fans. You should just do the show and be professional. But we're like, nah, this is like a family. And it really is. Like,
well, look at Taylor Swift. I mean, I don't think there's any other person of the celebrities that gets as close as Taylor Swift does. I mean, she loves her fans, and her fans adore her.
Yes, they do. Matt's a huge fan.
I'm a big fan of Tay Tay, man. I like it. Caleb and I talk about it all the time about if you make music that moves you.
We have pitched her PR person over and over, and I will keep pitching. One day they're gonna say, "Okay, we'll take a chance," and I'm gonna be like, "Okay, let's do it." And I've had a few close. I mean, I guess I shouldn't say the person, but I'm gonna say it anyway.
Yeah, it's not live.
I almost had Chanel West Coast.
Oh yeah, man.
I was this close to getting her, and the last thing, it was like her PR people said, whoever was PR at that time, might even be different PR by now. It was like they said, yeah, we'll do it. Let's do it after so and so. Well, when I reached back, I think it was different PR people or something. Something was different, but it didn't happen. And because that's something I've learned with this is a lot of people, they pitch, they get the no, and then they run off to next. And of course I go next. Yeah. But I get like 200 rejections a month. But I get the same rejection because every month I'm resending because again, time thing, like we had one guest and Kaylee Hammock. I wanted her on, and I remember I pitched, and one day all of a sudden the PR person says, well, she's booked up for the next 2 weeks. Well, I'm thinking, well, what about after that? But I didn't say that. So in 2 weeks, guess what I did? Emailed back. And so, well, she's booked up for another 2 weeks. Okay. So 2 weeks later, I emailed back. I think they got tired of me. And then finally the person says, look, if something opens up, your show will be the first show that we contact.
Come on.
3 days later, they email us, that person, because we've got a 20-minute slot at this time, take it or leave it. And we had a dentist appointment for my 9-year-old son at that time. Now, granted, it was an emergency one. It was just a checkup. So I told Sandy, we moving it.
Nice.
So, but again, it's one of them things, and I think that's what people don't get. You get these guests on the show, and it's not easy. Yeah. But you pitch and you pitch and you pitch and you pitch, and most times they don't respond. Yeah. But that's fine. In fact, I kind of like it when they don't respond because then, hey, it gives me more reason to keep pitching because they But I've gotten a bunch of people like Sarah Evans. It took me 6 months to get her.
Amazing artist. Amazing artists.
6 months. And now some of these people, we deal with the PR companies already. So they knew who we were. It's just getting her was tough. And finally, the day came where they, okay, let's do it. When you got.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching Sarah Evan episode the other day. And I was like, that's just neat, man.
and the pandemic also changed our show in another way. Because last August we did 44 interviews in that 1 month. Ooh. And well, it wore me out, but at the same time I was I was used to doing interviews all the time. So by September, a lot of artists were starting to have gigs again. So I was having a hard time booking artists. So I was like, we got to do something to fill these slots. Yeah. So I was like, I wonder if the teams of actors and actresses would take us in the way music people have. So that's where we made that transition. And our very first actor was Ed Asner.
That's so cool, man.
And what's funny is I got Ed Asner by accident. I didn't ask for Ed Asner. We're excited we got him. He was awesome. We would have never imagined getting Ed Asner. But what happened was I reached out to the agent of Eric Braeden, who plays Victor Newman on Young Wrestling.
He's still alive after all these years.
And I was like, I want him. I mean, can you imagine having Victor face to face?
I can't.
So I pitched that, and they said maybe down the road we can get him. But then he said, but I do have another actor that I would like to get on your show. Wow. And I was like, oh, we'll take him. And he was, I think he just turned 91 at that time. You wouldn't be able to tell it. Now, granted, it was an audio one we did, but you couldn't tell it. He talked and laughed, and it was just a great time.
Man. Yeah, I grew up in Young and the Restless, man. My grandma had her on every day.
You know the character Sheila Carter, right?
Yeah.
We had her on the show.
Come on, man. I mean, I don't know who's alive today, but I know, Victor, Nikki, and Victoria, and Billy. All these people.
We've almost had the actress that plays Abby Newman, but we're I've tried getting her, but we did have Kimberlyn Brown, who played Sheila Carter.
That's incredible.
It was an interesting interview because we talked about she was the most villainous character I think in soap opera history.
Yep.
And
I agree.
And she told us that they actually gave her leadway, that they said, look, take the character and run with it. And you come up with, so she came up with some of the plots herself.
Wow. That's incredible, man. Wow. Yeah. I mean, just to think, man, the people that, you and I have had on, it's the Frick Frack Show podcast. It's crazy that we all started this, a year ago, a little more than a year ago. And how far we all have come, in this journey. Cause that's what we tell people. This thing is like a journey, and Matt had said before, we had never met, we still haven't, but in, in 4 weeks, man, 4 weeks, it's a big day, the big day. And it's going to be incredible. What we're doing is we're actually meeting up to attend this festival to kind of work as media, and we get to see a lot of the people we had on this show, and I'm messaging, stay in contact with most of them, and they're super excited about meeting us in person, and so we have this, it's like 10 different artists and a 9.5 hour concert.
Wow.
It's gonna be insane. It's 5 out of 10 we've had them on the show, but we're very thankful for the opportunity.
Who's surprised of all your guests you've had? Who's surprised you the most?
Ooh.
I would say Bailey Literal. Sorry, I think his was surprising.
We still got to get him as just him, because we've gotten him with Brian, but we need to get him on the show too.
Yeah. He's a great guest, man. Great guest. He's very grounded and down to earth.
Wow. We actually just had my most surprising guest, which was yesterday. We got pitched about a month ago. Again, like I said, when it comes to the PR companies that we have great relationships with, almost anybody that they bring us, I'm putting them on, because you never know who else they're going to have. Yep. And so this PR company pitches us this 9-year-old.
Oh, I saw the episode.
And my son is 9.
Yeah.
And I said a yes, but I'll be honest, I was a little nervous because I like to have conversations like what we do. And I want to talk back. I don't want it to be, I ask a question, you answer. I ask a question. I don't want it to be that. I want it to be a conversation. Yep. So I'm sitting there thinking, well, it'll probably be 15, 20 minutes. It probably won't be a conversation, because it's 9 years old. And she gets on there and we're talking before we go live. She starts chatting away and I'm sitting there like, oh my God. This might actually be a good episode. And sure enough, she's going to be a star. She you watched it.
Oh,
she's going to be
so young, man.
9 years old. She had her act together. It was just amazing what this little 9-year-old talent in her, that could hold a conversation with adults. It was really awesome.
I mean, being 9 years old, it brings it back to Dakota Fanning, right? She was so good in PR. She was so good in interviews and things like that. At 6 years old, I think she was 6 when she did I Am Sam, with Sean Penn in 2001, and you watch her with Sean Penn or even by herself in interviews, and it's like this kid is like 6 years old. Speaking like a grown woman.
Amazing. And that's something I've noticed a difference between artists and actors.
Wow.
Actors who are young can usually talk more. and I guess probably the reason is because, again, there are some great young artists that we've had on that's done great, but there's other ones where you have to try to pull. And that's great because they haven't lived a lot of life yet. So I get that. I understand that.
I like that. Yeah.
But at the same time, the actors, I don't know if we've had any young actor that couldn't talk. Yeah. And I think it's because they do so much acting. That's just what they're used to.
They're used to expressing their feelings, and they've had a lot of practice, the kids I know over here, not talking bad about anyone in particular, but they don't even know how to talk to an adult. They're so scared, like they get anxiety from like going up to go say, hey, Uncle Caleb. And they're like, and blows my mind when I do meet a child or anyone at that young age who is able to hold a conversation, who just sits down in a chair like this and just talks away. And I embrace that. I don't ever get aggravated with kids because I miss that. When I was a young kid, I was going, do all these different things, singing and dancing at reunions and always, talking to everybody. And I don't know, the generations change, man. We got iPads now.
Because there's some kids that if they're not typing, they can't talk. They they can't hold a conversation. And that's sad. Like I've got friends of mine that that I will call, and then they will not answer and then text me, what's up? And I always, when that happens, I'll be honest, I text them back and say, never mind. I am not going to text back and forth.
Yeah. I usually text, I text them back and say 911, I'm dying. And that usually gets them calling really, really fast. And I'm like, oh, not just seeing what you're doing.
And speaking of young ones, I'm gonna get my 9-year-old. So Sandy, bring little Chris in. Ask a few questions, do his little thing. So we're teaching him at 9 to kind of be a host, and who knows, the great thing is we have a lot of connections now, and we'll have more as he gets older. So if him or our little 2-year-old Caitlin, if they ever want to be in entertainment, we shouldn't have an issue. The only, I can't be one of the, some parents like, oh no, don't want you in entertainment, don't want you to act, don't want you to sing. I can't be that because we interview these people. So, because they would say, well, what about your show?
Yep. It's true, man. Connections are so important, man.
Yep.
How's it going, buddy?
What's up, dude?
Hi, freaking Braxton. So
what's up?
What's your favorite food?
Oh, favorite food.
Mine is probably steaks. Steaks is my favorite food. I'm from Nebraska, though.
I'd say pizza, man. Everywhere I go, I gotta find some kind of pizza place to eat because you know, like in New York, you know, I don't know if you guys have been in New York, but you never get enough of pizza over there.
And what's yours?
Mine is pizza.
Oh man, what's your favorite toppings?
Pepperoni sausage and supreme.
You
Well,
guys
that's
like 2 different
perfect. That's exactly
Dang.
what I like. So good job.
Right, thanks.
Okay, so what's your favorite food?
You just-
Oh,
Oh, good.
what's your favorite TV show?
Oh, favorite TV show. Mine would be The Office. 100%. I've watched it for years and
Second
years.
that.
You ever seen The Office, man?
No, I haven't.
It's so, and whenever you're 13, you'll start watching it. I'm sure it's incredible, man.
And what's yours?
Mine is SpongeBob.
Ah, who's your favorite character, man?
Oh, Patrick.
Oh, let's see. How's he do? Hey, you guys.
Yes. Yeah, that's
And what's been cool about our show is we've been able to bring on, he watches a lot of Nickelodeon
Yeah.
and Disney shows. So we've been able to bring a lot of people from those stations of his people that he watches.
So-
like recently we had the girl that plays Destiny on the show Bunked.
That's cool, man. So
And
like,
he got, so he got
Well-
to talk to him.
well, how's it feel to get those people? How do you feel when like you watch them on TV and then you actually get a chance to talk to them?
That feels great.
Yeah, it's.
'Cause
I'm
I
sure
wish
it's
we had
neat.
all this when I was young,
Yeah, because man, look, when I was your age, you know, we were watching a lot of the boy band Backstreet Boys and things, and oh, I would love to meet them, love to talk to them, and you get the chance at being so young to be able to do that. I wish I grew up where we had the
He's
chance.
laughing because he's bodiless. Because he's wearing a green shirt.
Well, that'll do it, man. That'll do it.
All right, next question.
So, what's your favorite movie?
That's tough.
I'm a big movie freak, man. I own a couple thousand movies. Yeah, it's really, really hard to say, but a recent movie, I'd say, would be. Oh man, I don't know. What did I like recently?
I think for me, it's always got to be the Green Mile. I love the Green Mile.
Give me your hands, boss.
Yeah.
Man, that's a great movie. It's definitely I always tell people this, everyone's got a top 5, right? I have about 200 top 5s, so I do cheat a little bit, but one of my favorite movies would be, the Lord of the Rings. Those are really, really great, but then I have about 40,000 more of my favorites as well.
What's yours?
Mine's Minions movie.
Oh, the Minions, man. Look, Matt's super excited about that. He's probably watched it a lot because of his kids too.
I love it, man. Minions was a brilliant little trilogy. Good movie. Good choice, little man. Good choice.
Yeah. We actually had one of that Nickelodeon, the Joshua guy what's that show?
Blue's Clues.
Blue's Clues guy on.
Come on, man.
He was really
Wow.
interesting. And then we've also had the guy that is in the Tune In With Me or
Yeah, and the Tune In With Me. I
Yeah.
can't remember his name.
Jeff
Oh.
something. I think.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
We had him on the show. He was really cool. We've had
Man.
we've had a lot of Disney and Nickelodeon. We had 2 people from Side Hustle on. That was pretty cool.
That's neat, man. We've had
I've
a couple
been
of
trying
Disney.
to get like iCarly person on. And,
Yeah.
that would be really cool if we get her on one day. And I was surprised, to be honest, that we got Destiny from Bunked.
Yeah. That's pretty neat, man.
She's a star.
Yeah, she is. We've had people. Of course, our focus is the '90s, the early 2000s. So we've had people like Brandon Baker, who plays in Johnny Tsunami, which is like the first or the second, maybe the third Disney Channel original movie. We've had some great, which we haven't had anybody from Nickelodeon, but of course, we would love to get Rugrats. I think. I don't know if Rugrats returned, on Paramount Plus, and it lightens our heart. Man, look, when we were your age, we were watching Rugrats, and now they just brought it back like 4 weeks ago. That's crazy, man.
And that's just like that tune in with me. It's all the Walt Disney old movie. I mean, old shows, cartoons, and of course, your Bugs Bunny, Roadrunner, and all that. So it's really cool that this is what we grew up on.
Man, did you get to see Space Jam?
No, I haven't.
Good.
But I have heard of it.
Yeah, I got to watch it, and the original. I was around your age when I watched the original, and we had it was great, but the new one, it kind of just made me sad. And
Bye, Nate.
all right, good night, my man. See you later, buddy.
Okay.
See you, little man.
Yeah, he's been on almost every episode. It's really fun having him on because again, it's funny. I created the name Family Affair Media to wrap around this.
Wow,
and because it's funny. I was like every episode I would tell people, "Yeah, we're a family affair show," and I was like, "Wait a minute, Family Affair Media. I wonder if that's available." Come to find out, whoever had it just left it unlocked from like 2019. So,
man!
Cool. And I think they even dropped copyrights, everything. So I was like, okay, so I locked it in. We got it in. So we're trying to run everything under Family Affair Media. And then I realized if you do the initials, it's FAM. I was like, oh, how about
Come on. Yeah. Man, that's great. We never looked into like getting things like that. And I didn't until the other day. I don't know. I watched the episode where you were talking about it, maybe this week. And that's when I was like, yeah, I don't think we copyrighted anything, bought anything for it. And it's just been a long, crazy year for us, man, in general. When I think back and, I just got back surgery about 10 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
And it blows my mind because because of the excruciating pain I was in 24/7, I don't remember much of the last 5 years, I kind of discovered that the other day when I was really trying to remember things. And but like this podcast, I'm so grateful for the videos because I can go back and be like, oh yeah, we had this person on.
Yeah, and it's really cool because you grow this thing and you got these celebrities starting to come on. You see this and you see this, and I've always been the outcast out there, family and stuff, and I've always been.
Me too.
You'll never amount to anything.
Oh yeah.
Now we got people saying, private messaging me, how are you doing this?
Yes.
And it's like, and it's such a great thing. And to be honest, I'll be honest. For me, our show is healing for me because we get to have these artists, these actors, and all that on our show, and get to tell their story. So we can, and like you were saying at the beginning about the political stuff, we don't look at their. And I'll be honest, if they go a little political, even if I disagree, I let them go. You know what? Yeah. It's not like it's gonna hurt too much. Now granted, I try to guide it back. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, we do too. But I let them go a little bit. But again, you hear their stories, and there have been many times I'm like, I don't agree, but man, they got a point. So I've been trying to. So I get people on sometimes that I think different than, and I love it because it gives me a chance to kind of open my mind up some.
I like that, man. Very, very, very eye-opening too. You're absolutely right with that about the point of where you can listen to someone and not agree, but you do get something from it.
Those make for the best episodes, right? Those make for the best guests.
Exactly. She was able to a few minutes.
Hey, Miss Sandy, how's it going?
Hi, Sandy.
Good.
Yeah, we're just hanging out.
The great thing about our show is I get, my co-host is my spouse.
Yes, my co-host is one of my dearest and bestest friends. Even though we don't even know each other, like someone asked me the other day, like, do you know this person? I'm like, about a year and a half now. I can tell you what kind of shirt he's wearing today.
It's a relationship, right? I mean, it's like any relationship. It is.
Yeah.
It is.
She's got a question for you.
Sure.
Yes, I'll do my question. I always do. So, what would you like to be known for as podcasters, known and remembered for?
You want to go, Caleb, or you want me to go first?
You go first. That's deep.
I would want to be known for the ones that brought it back. And by that I mean the ones that brought you can have a conversation, you can disagree, but you're still family at the end. I feel like that's lost in today. And I want to be known with my brother Caleb as the ones that brought that back. You can disagree. You can not agree on everything. Caleb and I don't agree on everything, but make it work.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Love that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I would definitely want to be remembered for just what we did for folks. You know, there, like I said earlier, you know, Miss Sherry's in here. She had once told us that you know, this is as close as I'm gonna get to Brian Littrell. You know, and like this is the closest, like, and it's such a different kind of connection versus a 5-second meet and greet. And I would just love to be remembered for us giving people this show in general. You know, it's I think what we have is a beautiful thing. You know, everybody talks about, you know, we have a beautiful relationship, you know, but like what we have is such a beautiful and wonderful thing. And it's, you know, it's very much, the evidence is there when we get, you know, private messages or when we get messages in our inbox and random people from around the world adding us on our personal Facebook, which, you know, that's all great. But like, you know, it's an incredible thing when someone says, like earlier, man, there was this girl, I guess her name is Stephanie. And she messaged me, and she was freaking out because she was going to miss tonight's episode because it's her friend's birthday party. And she was like, is there any way I could watch the video? Like, and I'm like, yeah, our videos are every week, and we don't delete the videos. Like, it stays on there. And she was just freaking out because she thought she'd missed the episode. You know, like that, those little things.
Yeah, I have some of the celebrities that we've done when they share it to their page. I'll go and look at the comments because sometimes people will say, "Oh, I guess I missed it." Oh no, you can go watch it.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. We have quite a few people who do that. We'll get notifications from a video from a week ago, and people are watching it and commenting it, even though it's not live.
The Brian Littrell YouTube one, because we did it on Facebook and YouTube. And but the one on YouTube, it grows by 100 views every 3 days.
It's still crazy, man.
If you put in Brian Littrell in the search, we're like only like 10 or 11 down, or maybe it's like sometimes 4 and 5 down. And so we're still getting views from that one. So we're like, oh, this is really. And then now with the Mallory one we had on from that played Destiny on Bunk,
that one's doing
she's growing by about 50, 60 a day every day.
It's a beautiful thing, man.
That's the thing about YouTube I like better than Facebook.
Yep.
You're not getting that on Facebook.
Right.
No.
It's the search. Eventually, when you have enough in YouTube, eventually all of a sudden it's going to all come together.
Oh yeah.
We hope anyway.
Yes.
Because like our vision, you know, we're a married couple doing this, and not many married couples do this. So our vision is one day to be the first. Well, and if we can't be the first, we'll take still being this. But so if we can manage it, we would love to be the first co-host of a daytime TV interview show.
That would be cool. That would be cool, man.
And so everything is now. Granted, I have a feeling. I know if anybody's going to do it soon, I think I know who's going to be that. It's probably going to be Bobby Bones and his new wife.
Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that. I mean, you know, we don't know where this thing is going to go. You know, we kind of question it. Every now and then a conversation comes up, you know, but we trust the road that we're going on, you know, that. And
I question it every day.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, it's like you want it to grow. And then she has to pull me off the. That's one great thing about having your best friend or your spouse with you, because you're like, you want it to grow, and you want it to grow fast, even though that's not going to happen. And you're like, are we doing? I mean, I don't want to be 5 years down the road and look back and we wasted. Now, granted, it's not waste, but you know what I mean. But where it feels like we've wasted 5 years of our life. I want this to grow and be something more than what it is. And it's just the creativeness in me. I just want it to do something.
And that's the most important, man, is us doing stuff. Go ahead, man.
I was just going to say you guys are doing it the right way.
Yep.
Oh, look, this person just said they're a big fan of All for One. They watched the interview yesterday, and I don't know. I know Caleb watched it.
Yeah.
Did you catch the one part? It was really funny. Where he was talking. And he was talking about things that he likes to leave behind.
Yes.
Oh,
to-
yes.
To leave stuff behind so people find it. And he
Right.
said, and he started naming stuff. And he said, "Yeah, I like to leave legs behind." And
Oh, it was crazy.
Man.
It was funny. And he was like, "Oh," he's like, "No, I didn't mean legs." And I was like, "Yeah, that would be a good one. Leave some legs behind."
Those are some good people, man. Especially
Oh,
Miss
yes.
Hannah. You know, Hannah is married to Mr. Jamie, and she's also their rep, and some great people. You know, we messaged them yesterday and just kind of saying, you know, we can't wait for a concert of theirs to be a little closer so we can go to it. But Delius is a, you know, incredible person. You know, he's a wonderful person, and
Awesome.
Yeah, it was really awesome.
he's all for one, man.
Get back to the
She better
kids.
get back to the kids.
Nice
So-
to talk to you.
Bye,
We're at the hour
Sandy.
mark, and I could talk all night, but we all got things we got to do.
I just got to eat wings.
So just tell everybody how they can find y'all.
Go ahead, Matt.
We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on TikTok. Anywhere that you get your podcast or listen to your podcast, just search the Frick Frack Show. And just remember, man, we're a podcast for the fans, by the fans, and that means all of you, Chris and Sandyites also.
And you know, we loved having y'all on, and I hope we did y'all a service here. I didn't really, you know, again, I wanted this to be a little different because you do what we do, and I wanted to talk about some of the stuff, tell stories. Each of you both tell stories. And I just wanted this to be kind of fun, relaxed, where we just didn't have to worry about, you know, we'll goof off, and finally, as a host, you can just have fun. You know, because sometimes you got to be kind of serious on the show, and depending on who you have.
Oh yeah, no, we faced that dilemma quite a few times, and but you know, like you know, when the guest comes on before the show, you know how it's gonna go.
Yeah, you can tell.
Yeah, so you know if you could be loosey goosey, you know, or you have to just be like, well, tell us about your life.
Love it, and we look forward to having you back down the road.
Yeah, most definitely. Thank you so much for having us. It was incredible. It was a lot of fun. And like I said, it was great to be able to talk to somebody who does what we do. And you know, we're always being the interviewer, you know, and now so now we get to be that. So it's like, it's a privilege, and we appreciate it so much, man.
No problem. And you know, y'all have a great day.
You too, buddy.
Thanks,
we'll be
brother.
in contact, man.